Welcome to Escaping the Echo Chamber. I'm not here to whisper sweet nothings in your ear, and you're not here because the truth is something that you fear. Let's get into it. It's been an interesting day. Uh, lots there's always stuff going on, but there's stuff going on in these YouTube streets, and wow. So, for those of you that aren't aware, yesterday, anybody that was on the stream yesterday, and I had talked about participating in a panel, and I had actually, in addition to participating in the panel, I had put the link in the community tab for y'all to go check out that episode, and I so the clip that I put in the panel is starting at the relevant portion. So I get like early this morning, I get a comment from somebody who's saying, "Hey, the link isn't working." So I'm like, I thought for sure I put the right link. Like so okay, maybe I got something wrong. So I go click on it. It won't work for me either. So then I go say, hey, let me just repost the link. And when I go to the channel when I attempt to go to the channel, so I can get the link again and put that in the community tab, it's not there. Not the link. The channel isn't there. So yes, one of Anton Daniels' main channel was taken down last night. This morning, early, and it was sabotage. It was intentional sabotage. Somebody came on, did some nonsense, and YouTube has pulled his channel down. He's appealing. I hope he is successful in his appeal, but it is really crazy that that's another thing we have to deal with. But in addition to, because yesterday I talked about the part on the panel where I was talking to Chaotic Truth, and we were talking about, well, I was talking about issues and stuff. But later on in the panel, we were talking about women, men, battle of sex dynamics, basically. And that topic is very, it's number one, it's always, battle of sexes is always very topical. It's always something that people are interested in. And I mean, if you take a look, and there's public things happening that are the reason why these issues are very, in the forefront. So you have just the basic battle of the sexes going on. Then you have the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, where you're seeing a specific example of the battle of the sexes, because that got ugly, super ugly. Some relationships end, and everybody's like, okay, it didn't work. We go our separate ways. If there's kids involved, we figure things out. If there's money involved, we figure that out. And this case went a completely different direction. It's just absolute chaos. And when you listen to how they were interacting with each other and what was going on between them, it's like a horror story. It's a horror story, really. But let's rewind back. Not last week, the prior Sunday, I was actually on Lead Attorneys. Jumped on one of his panels, and he was talking about another, not as high profile, definitely not as high profile, because there's no case that's really as high profile as that case. But he was talking about the tech lead. So the tech lead is a dude that's on YouTube, and he got married, and his wife, he wound up divorcing his wife, and from his story side of the stories, she took the son, boom, left the country, and so basically, I think that he might have even used the word kidnapped. So it's like she kidnapped his son, and she's in another country, and he doesn't even have access to a son now. And when I came up on the stream, because as he's talking about things, and there are other people, come up on the stream and they're giving their perspective, and I realized that there's a significant issue that men aren't paying attention to. And it's the ability of men to realize not to wait until you get to that point, not to wait until you get to the point of the relationship is in shambles, and now the woman that you were with is going to not just leave, not just end the relationship, but actually seek to cause you pain. And to, to go to the greatest extent she can to make you suffer. I'm like, that doesn't come out of nowhere. I'm saying there's generally signs that that's the person you're dealing with. But men tend not to pay attention to those signs. Why? Because men are more paying attention to other stuff like, oh, how good does she look? How big is her butt? How big are her boobs? Like, these are things that men are looking at, and then ignoring some very significant characteristics about her, like, what happens if this goes south? Is this woman going to punish me? Is this woman going to make me suffer if things don't go well? What type of person is this? And it reminds me of that line from Poison: "Never trust a big butt and a smile." Belle Biv DeVoe. Words to live by. In other words, don't just get booty blinded. Don't just say, oh man, she's so fine, she's so good, and then just ignore all the signs. But men tend to get in that mode. And so when I got up on TLA's show on panel, this is what I said. I said, I noticed that if guys are waiting until the divorce happens to start figuring out, okay, how do I solve this? What do I do? It's already too late, because already we're in a perspective where guys know that in custody cases, vast majority of the times, the woman will be favored. In terms of alimony and spousal support, child support and spousal support, like that will most of the times favor the woman. So if a guy is waiting till that time to start figuring out what to do, he's already failed. And I said, what guys need to do is they need to be thinking about that, like at the very beginning. They need to have a better understanding of who the woman they're dealing with is. The issue is that women tend to have a higher emotional IQ, social IQ. They tend to be more attuned to reading and paying attention to people, whereas men don't exercise that muscle to the degree. And I think that there's definitely evolutionary reasons and biological reasons. And one, okay, men are bigger and stronger. So how do men get things done? How do men get somebody to do something? So like the ways, I'm big, I'm strong. Okay, you do it because I'm bigger than you. You do it because I'm strong, or else. Whereas, how do women get people to do things? They use persuasion. So women have to be more emotionally attuned. They have to know how to pay attention to people's emotions and use people's emotions to get what they want to do, get what they want. Men just have this in their mind. Well, if there's something I want, or if I want somebody to do something I don't like what they're doing, then I have to use my strength. I've used my physical. I have to use my physical nature to get things done. Welcome, Tat lad. Welcome. And that's the problem. If men are only thinking about, okay, well, that's because now remember, there's certain areas where you just can't do that, and you shouldn't do that. And so, like, if you're dealing with a woman, but there are plenty of dudes who will be on these YouTube streets, or even on the regular streets, who will tell you, yeah, just go ahead and you're the man. What you say goes. Why? like, literally, if and we'll say Fresh and Fit. If Fresh and Fit are telling you, you tell a woman this is how it's going to be, and this is what she better do, and I'm like, well, what's the or else? Stop and think about what you're being told. If they're telling you something like this, what exactly is the or else? Because once you start thinking about, well, what's the or else? Oh, well, if that's the or else, yeah, you can't do that. That's not an option. How a woman will get you to do what she wants. She will understand your emotion. She will understand where you're emotionally invested, and she'll get you to, she'll play on your emotions, get you to do what she wants. You have to be men. If men want to be able to not be manipulated and exploited, men have to start exercising their emotional, dealing with emotional intelligence, exercising emotional intelligence, building emotional intelligence. And as Taklat said, learn game, practice game, problem solved. Absolutely. You have got to, but there's so many dudes who have, and like there's this entire field in YouTube, the black pill space, where they just think there's no, that doesn't exist. That's absolutely 1000% false. 1000% false that, you just have to look a certain way to be able to get women. And if you realize that women are emotional creatures, and if you can connect with them emotionally, you can form lasting, you can form relationships and be successful in developing relationships with women. But if you want happy relationships, you got to understand who you're dealing with. So you got to be able to read them. So yeah, I get on lead attorney's stream, and I'm telling him basically, yeah, well, I think these guys need to be focused more on, the paying attention to the characteristics and reading who their partner is, like paying attention to the signs. So if a guy and a girl's in an argument, and she's like, well, yeah, well, that's why I mess with your best friend, and and your father and your brother, and then like, if she's saying a whole bunch of stuff that's really meant to wound and hurt you, then you got to stop and realize, you know what? This is a dangerous woman. If she's really trying to go for the jugular and hurt you when y'all have disagreements and arguments, this is probably something that you might want to get away from sooner rather than later. But a lot of guys will be in that situation, will ignore the warning signs, the red flags, and then just keep going. And then you get to the point where they get married, they wind up, things go south. Now you're on the hook. Now you're on the hook because if you're married, if you have kids, now who's going to get custody of your kids? What kind of spousal support are you going to have to pay? Child support, a whole bunch of other stuff comes into play. When I say learn game, I mean old school game. This new school stuff is kind of garbage. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Definitely. But we get to the point where, because in fact, prior to me coming on, there was a woman that had come on, and she had mentioned how she had gotten married, but she didn't really want to get married. She just did it for the kid. And I'm basically saying, a dude who's paying attention is going to be able to, wait a minute, are you actually into me? But when I said this, I said, it takes for guys to pay attention to, what the woman is, not just listening to what she's saying and not just hearing what the words that she's saying, but actually listening in totality, reading the body language, or learning how to read, working on our emotional intelligence. And lead attorney, the look on lead attorney's face indicated that he thought I was absolutely 1000% full of shit. And so I say, yeah, this is what you have to do. You have to be able to read people's emotions. I says, like right now, you're looking at me like I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. So he was like, okay. He's like, listen. He said, but the difference is, like, I'm not really trying to hide it. Now, how are you supposed to read somebody when they're trying to hide it? I said, listen, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying these are the skills that men need to be working on and developing because women are experts at it. And that's why if dudes aren't working on this, they're being read every day from Sunday and they have no idea, like, woman is saying something means something completely different, and the guy's none the wiser, and it's not in his best interest, long-term interest for the relationship. But that's why I said, yeah, let me go ahead and talk about this, because this guy, like, there were, because so the tech lead is a guy that's into tech, into, I think he was actually like a lead tech guy in some pretty big companies too. And it's funny because some people were talking about how, as somebody who's into tech, and I've seen plenty of guys that are into technical fields, they don't really read people. They can, like, it's the zeros and ones is great. When it comes to machines and stuff, they understand it. They don't really understand people. They don't really try to understand people. And so that, I think, was definitely a disadvantage for him. So he may have a great job, may have some really great skill sets, but I guess the stereotypical, as a stereotypical tech nerd, you're not necessarily going to be able to read people that well, and not even be interested in reading people that well, because that's not your thing. Your main focus is the machine. Your main focus is the tech, trying to understand the tech. And I say, hey, like, that's why it's an important skill for guys to learn. But then when you look at the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard case, like, that really should have ended way, way, way before it ended. And there was, so, like, but for some reason Johnny Depp was, like, she appears to be a very adept, like, as women tend to be more adept at, but it was very adept, like, even, I guess, to say more so than just your average woman, at really knowing how to control him emotionally. And, like, there was so much stuff that has come out during the course of this trial, because originally it made him look like he was just a monster, and now we come out and find out how horrible she was. And, like, I even put up a short talk about how this week her career is up in flames right now. It's up in flames because with all the stuff that's coming out about what she's done, and hey, we still have to see what case the defense puts on. But right now, she's looking like an absolute monster. But the question is, why did he stay? Why did he stay as long as he did and put himself in an even worse position? Because his career is over. He lost Pirates of the Caribbean. He lost the Fantastic Beasts series. Like, he lost a lot of money behind this. She made these accusations. She used her movie coming out as a catalyst to promote herself, and as a ambassador with the ACLU for domestic violence. and she coordinated these things and like just completely destroyed him. But now as more stuff is coming out, it's like, wait a minute, we clearly didn't have all the facts. We clearly didn't have and the facts may have, the some of the facts may have been said out there, but the media wasn't covering them. And like that's why it's like, okay, is there a way for men to understand women? I say yes. What do you think? And I'm curious to know what y'all think, because we were having a conversation yesterday on the panel, and so Jay, that's true, but the same can be said about Will Smith and why he didn't leave. So I think there are some issues there as well, but I like right now I'm after everything that happened at the Oscars. I have a slightly different perspective on the nature of that relationship. I don't think it's exactly as we have been looking at it. So I think that the way we've been looking at the, Will and Jada relationship isn't necessarily exactly how it actually is. You know what I'm saying? So like there's things that so I don't think he's as powerless as it appears. I think that the impression that we have is one that Will Smith has intentionally wants us to have. I think he wants us to have that image of him being just I'm just the good guy. I'm just, it's just, I'm gonna deal with this as best I can. These because I'm starting to see some things about him. And as I think back, just like I said about reading people, there were warning signs before. We had warning signs about Will Smith prior to now. And so I'm saying this that I think we have to look at this situation slightly differently because it's not necessarily the easiest answer isn't necessarily the correct answer. But in terms of learning women, I mean, I listen to some of what some of these guys say, and I think the number one. So in fact, yeah, let me get back to the panel real quick. The panel we was on yesterday, and the woman were talking about like it was some men, some women on the panel, and they were talking about whether or not women will. Okay, so a guy had came on the panel and says that he had, he was with his woman and not with his woman, like he had a woman, but he was outside by himself now, but he's still together. He's still in a relationship with his woman. And there would be times when he would see a woman at the grocery store, you know, at the dry cleaners or something. And if she's just really fine, he's like, man, he's like, he has thoughts to himself. He's like, I'm not going to act on them, but I have thoughts like, man, she's so fine. Man, what I can do to her. And so the question was posed to the woman on the panel, and their perspective was like, no, women don't do that. And and that they're like, no, women don't do that. Women don't think like that. Women, in order to feel something for a guy, like it needs to be connected to the emotions and it needs to be deeper. And listen, I can't speak for those specific women. Let me put it this way. I'm not going to speak for those specific women. I will say that generally, that in my experience, in my estimation, in my observation, that is not the case. Yes, women are definitely capable of, and not just capable, like women will do it and have their thoughts to be looking at a dude and just all kinds of like. But here's the point: you won't know this. For instance, if you're with a woman, if you have a girl, y'all get together, you're dating, she's not going to tell you that when that dude that's walking by, you know, with a completely fitted suit type, she's not going to tell you, "Oh man, I just had a quick fantasy in my head about that dude." She's not going to tell you that. No, of course she's not going to tell you that. She's with you. She's not, there's no reason for her to tell you that. There's one reason why she would tell you. Well, okay. Well, there's at least one reason I can think of it. If you're in a polyamorous relationship and she's like, "Wow, that guy," and it's that type of party, cool. If you're not in that type of relationship, if you're in a at least if you're claiming to be in a monogamous relationship, then she's not going to tell you that. So the the issue is, if the only exposure guys have to women is in a romantic relationship, there's an entire side of women that they're missing. So you're never because you're her romantic partner. So there's a whole side of her that she's never going to let you see, because she's not going to let you see behind the curtain. If you want to see behind that side, like you would have to have, like if you had a close homegirl, some friends that you deal with, then you'd be able to see a different side of them, and then you can actually have conversations with your female friends and see just exactly how women talk about men. Because in fact, I remember just for some reason today something came across my feed. Kevin Samuels and Nicki Minaj talking about how men rate women. Let me tell you something. Women rate men all the time. All the time. So like they may not be on YouTube doing it, but in conversations with each other and when talking about men, they are rating men all the time. And so, but if you're not having if you're in that relationship, she's not going to be having that conversation with you. Your girlfriend isn't going to have that conversation with you. Your girlfriend's going to be having that conversation with her friends, with the homegirls, and if she has any guy friends, she might have those kind of conversations with them too. She's not going to be having these conversations with you in generally speaking. But that's why so many guys are just out of the loop, because if they're thinking that the only relationships they're supposed to be having with women is a romantic relationship, there's an entire side of women they're not getting. So I listen to, I hear the Tech Lad. Best place to get advice from women: long-time married women. Never ask a young woman for dating advice. I wouldn't say ask. I would say get advice from both. Not even advice. I'd say have conversations with both. Because now with advice, sometimes here's the thing you have to worry about sometimes if you're getting advice from women. Sometimes you have to worry about women staying on code. If a woman staying on girl code when she's giving you advice about women, she could be and basically that's what. So Kevin Samuels is staying on guy code when he's giving women advice, and for the women, and that's why I say his advice is useful for women that are at a point where I need a man. Okay, now you're in a position of weakness. You're desperate for a man. Okay, now you got to listen to what the guys want and adapt accordingly. So, but like if some of these women will be telling you, you have to be careful that a woman isn't telling you stories or giving you advice based on girl code, so that what is basically best for the female that you're trying to pursue. But there are times when you can get just the raw, like if you're having just some really raw, un unfiltered, unedited discussions with your female friends. Now you can get a much better perspective of women, much better perspective. Nah, long time relationship people have no clue. I wouldn't necessarily see. So here's the thing: if they're so if a person's in a long time relationship, the question is, are they exclusive in that relationship? So imagine a person's in a long time relationship, but they're not exclusive in that relationship. That person can give you a whole lot of insight and a whole lot of game on how things go. Because among other things, like if you know any married woman that, unbeknownst to their husbands, deal with other men, you can start to learn. Like you can open your eyes in seeing how they deal with their men to conceal their other activities. Like once you get to see that, you could be like, wow. Like you like that's your glimpse behind the curtain to realize, like, if I hadn't seen this, I could be on the other side of this and have no idea of what's happening. What a young woman says she wants and what she responds to is very different. Okay, that's I think that's a fair point. I'm being a bit hyperbolic, of course. They are loyal and got married. If they are loyal and got married 15 years ago, they've got no idea. No, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, because if they're not out on the scene, then they're out of practice, right? Yeah, I definitely get what you're saying with that. But yeah, it's so like I think about the advice that, like, I've seen, like Fresh and Fit have this saying of never getting friend zoned, and I say that is horrible, horrible advice. Hold on, there's a reason why that's horrible advice, because as I've just established, if your only interactions with women are in romantic relationships, you're seeing a woman who is intentionally putting forward a face for you to pursue a relationship and to keep a relationship at a certain level. There's so much of her you're not seeing because the nature of this relationship doesn't allow her to show you everything. In a romantic relationship, to think about it, in a romantic relationship, there's certain things that like, yeah, I don't want her to know that. I don't want to know that about me. Yeah, that's embarrassing. You're putting forward your best foot so that you can get, so that you can be in the relationship and that you can keep the relationship going for as long as you want it. There's a bunch of stuff you're trying to hide. You're being on your best behavior. You're bringing her the flowers and stuff or whatever. You're taking her out. Yeah, like you're being on your best behavior. She's putting up a face as well. Like y'all are both putting up faces with each other in order to maintain that relationship. So if romantic relationships is your only interaction and your only relationship with women, you don't know women. If you get a chance to have a female friend and you get to see the other side, you get to hear her talk about her relationships. Now you're starting to see a bigger picture. Now you're starting to understand women at a different level. You're starting to see behind the curtain and to see, oh, so this is what she's saying. Like if you have a female friend and she's on the phone with her boyfriend, you could hear what she's saying, and then you can see, like with the things oh, well, this is what she's not saying. And you now have a better perspective. But I think I have to make it clear what I'm saying in terms of getting friend zone. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying men should get friend zoned with the intention of, Okay, so one day I'm going to work myself out of the friend zone. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying a man should be friend zoned and stay there and allow himself to be a friend to a woman. Because, like I said, then you get to have a different relationship with a woman, and a relationship with a woman where you can see a fuller picture of how women act, how women think, and you can gain a better understanding of women. Because once sex is off the table, you'd be surprised at how much deeper a connection and how much deeper an understanding you can have of women. Which is why women have absolutely no problem having guy friends. Because this it's education for them. It's education. It's how they understand men better. But men think, no, I don't want to have female friends. I'm just trying to sleep with her. I'm just trying to smash. Failing to realize how much benefit there is in having a female friend that can allow you to better understand how females operate, what they thinking, how they think, how they approach situations. Because other than that, all you have is the forward face that they're intentionally presenting to you to maintain a relationship. And so that's why when the guys that are telling you these fresh and fit types telling you don't get friend zone, well, they don't even like, well, especially fit. Yeah, he doesn't even like women. So like, take that in consideration if you're taking advice from him. You're right. It's crazy how unloyal people in long-term relations are, to be honest. Can't tell if I attract this type of woman or am I just noticing these women more myself. Listen, it's when it's crazy. Like when and when you actually start, like, aren't actively pursuing, and you can just stop and look and just watch things going on. It's like, wow, you get to see so much more, especially from I have a solid group of female friends who are attractive that I'm not interested and really appreciate the friendship. Yes, there's, and like I say, I'm not just saying just pretend to be. I'm actually be their friends, actually understand them, because once you understand woman, like you're in a better position to deal with the woman in a relationship, and to better understand how you want to form a relationship with the woman. Hell, you can even practice game on those women or women you're not even interested in and learn a ton. Well, you see, here's one thing. So there's a lot of guys that have, I guess, approach anxiety or even just conversation anxiety. Like they don't, if you've never even talked to a woman, that's a problem. So like if you don't know how to have a conversation with a woman, having female friends can help get rid of some of the fear, some of the anxiety, some of the apprehension, because you have female friends. And once you start looking at women, guess what? Women are people. Once you start looking at women as people, that can help you better communicate with them. And now you may think that I'm saying that only to the misogynistic guys that hate women. No, I'm saying it to the guys, also to the guys that, because there's some guys that just hate women and view them as objects, but there's some guys that look at women as goddesses and put them on a pedestal. That's not good either. Think of a woman as an object or a goddess. Both of those are going to leave you in a world of hurt. Both of those are going to, both of those are just not good places to be. But they're also not good for her. Like if you're putting this woman on this pedestal, then that means that you're now oblivious to her emotional needs, her vulnerabilities, and what she may need from you. Because you're just like, oh, and she's so perfect, and then you're not even attentive to the things that she may need from you emotionally, her when she's down, because you've just got her on this pedestal. her flaws, her weaknesses, her insecurities. You're just completely oblivious to that. That's not good either. It's not good for you. It's not good for her. And then in terms of what's really not good for you, if you have her on this pedestal, then you're oblivious to her character flaws. So she could be lying to you, manipulating you, using you, and you could find yourself in a position like Johnny Depp, huge megastar, but here he was, this woman, like, and the things he's accused her of. So he's also accused her of cheating on him, of the things she's admitted to. She's admitted to being abusive towards him. And it's like, okay, wow. But if you've got women on this pedestal, then you miss all the red flags. And you could find yourself in a world of hurt. So putting women on the pedestal or just viewing them as objects, either way, not a good look. Women are people. Remember that, accept that, and act accordingly. Just humans at the end of the day, very enlightening. Yes. Ask for help. They ask me for help. Usually a lot of agreement in some areas, which is in direct contrast to what male friend groups believe. Yeah. The funny thing is, I like having conversations, just frank conversations about sex and everything with your female friends, helps you better understand women. And so now you can have conversations with your female friends that you haven't had with your romantic partners. And now you'd be like, okay, like she didn't tell me this, but now I can look back and say, oh, wow, like this is something I should have been paying attention to. This is something I should have been focused on. And I was just oblivious to it. Like I didn't even realize that, like in terms of even what kind of things are women considering turn-ons. Now, granted, different women have, but there are general principles that you can kind of form, and you could see now once you're having just platonic conversations with females about this, where you can see how to apply it when you're dealing with romantic relationships. They tell me that on nights out, right? Yeah, for real, yeah, absolutely. Jay, yes, welcome. And so, yeah, and so that's why I look at that advice in terms of just saying, hey, this is you never want to be in the friend zone. And I'm like, no, that's not good advice. Like the friend zone and intentionally being a friend is a great place to learn about women, to understand women, to form and to get rid of, approach anxiety and just the whole host of limiting behaviors that guys go into when they're dealing with women. Because if you don't understand women, how can you have success with women? How can you have long-term relationships with women if you don't even understand them? So yeah, I mean, so like, I definitely think it is some place that you can definitely be. You can definitely get to a place where you have a better understanding of women, but it takes being intentional about it. It takes paying attention. It takes this is not an accurate depiction of a man and a woman. These are two clowns. Okay, who are you talking about? Amber and Johnny. Listen, I think that is an extreme. Like their case is really, really extreme. But I think there's lessons there for everybody in terms of like you need to understand who you're with. Like that relationship was the stuff they're going through, the stuff they're dealing with. These are some really damaged people, and you could just their interaction with each other is so unhealthy. Was so unhealthy, and you see how bad it how it blew up. It just went completely horrible. But yeah, if it is really crazy because you don't want to be in that position. You don't want to be the person who is with somebody who just winds up just it's just toxic, and they're using every secret you let them know, every dark every deep place that you let them into. Their entire purpose, this entire time was just to get as much, to know you as much as they could, so that they could use it against you. That's the kind of person like you need to be aware of. Like, okay, yeah, I got to get out of this relationship as soon as possible. If you see those red flags, if you see that this person is somebody who, if things go south, is going to be a harm to you, like it's time to, yeah, it's really time to get out, and to to hightail it out of that relationship as soon as possible. What I'm gonna do now is, so what I'm basically, I don't have like the call in line, but what I figure I'll do is I'll just drop the link, and you don't have to come on. You're not going to come on the stream, but the audio will be heard. So anybody who wants to kind of basically call in through StreamYard can do so. I'm dropping the link in the chat now. So if you want to, come on and say something, feel free. Because yeah, it's I want to hear some other perspectives, what you'll think, and what you'll think are effective ways for men to better understand women. So like I mentioned, basically actually having platonic relationships with women is something that would be helpful to allowing you to understand women better. And for like I said, everyone, you don't have to it's just going to be a call-in basically. So you just your audio. You don't need to, you're not going to need to appear on camera on stream. Okay, let me see. Women are actually very simple creatures, just like men. They want love and understanding, but still want a little danger and passion. So that's an interesting point. I think just like men, I think women are somewhat complex, but here's why I say that. Because I think that we have layers to ourselves that we don't necessarily all the time understand. And I think if we want successful relationships, that's really the first thing we have to do. The first thing we need to be doing is understanding ourselves. If we don't even understand ourselves, I think we're going to be we're going to have a problem. And so that definitely tackle that. So what I think is important so I do like the point that you mentioned about the love and understanding, but still want a little danger and passion, because a lot of guys they talk about the Pookies and Ray Rays, and like they don't understand why women like the bad boy, and I'm like, it's evolutionary. It's like these are, so the society has created a tamed version of men. Your so-called Pookies and Ray Rays are the untamed version of men. So yes, biologically, women will be drawn to them, and not just black women. So I mean, like we call the these type of men, well, not we, But people call these type of men in the black community Pookies and Ray Rays. I don't know what they call them in other communities, but those type of men are the men that attract the woman because from an evolutionary perspective, from a biological perspective, these are like untamed men. And there's an appeal to that. Yeah, it would be definitely great to hear your perspective. Because like I've seen. So in fact, yeah, just today, there's there's a case about a prison guard that's missing. And what happened was she was taking a prisoner to an appointment. And so they're like on Friday, the information they let go on Friday was that she's in danger. The information they've revealed today is no, we think she was we think she basically helped them escape. That's what we're thinking. And she wasn't even and I said prison guard. She's not a prison guard. She appears to be a prison administrator. So she appears to be one of the higher ups at this correctional facility, at this jail. And she, from what's being alleged, like the appointment that she was taking this prisoner to wasn't a real appointment. Additionally, she said she was going to an appointment of her own after taking him to that appointment. That appointment didn't exist either. And she hasn't been, they've had no contact with her since. But addition to all of this, she wasn't supposed to have been escorting him by herself anyway. But this isn't the first case where that's happened. But why? So what makes it so like? And by the way, there's a white woman and white man. So like I said, people will talk about the Pookies and Ray Rays, but like there's an element, like this raw element of untamed masculinity, which appeals to women. So it's not like a character flaw; it's a biological reality of why women choose and are attracted to so-called Pookies and Ray Rays. In the white community, they call him Jimmy's. That's the guy that hangs around the trailer park smoking on the meth. Female officers shouldn't be transporting prisoners alone. But yeah, but like even with like, so this guy, so they say this guy's like over 6'5", 250, 275 pounds. Like, and so number one, just from that's a potential danger to her. But then again, you can also look at being that tall, being that big, and being a dangerous dude. That's got to definitely be part of the appeal of why she's like, okay, I'm feeling this dude, and I'm gonna throw everything away. I'm gonna risk everything to help him escape. Yeah, that's what that's what some of the allegations or the rumors are right now, because it's unconfirmed as of this point, but but it's unconfirmed at this point. So let me pull it out. Yes, so let me share the screen. So yes, unconfirmed at this point, but that's what they're saying. Because like I said, on Friday they were like, "Oh no, it's not that. Maybe she was overpowered or whatever, and maybe she's in danger." And now they're pretty much saying, "Yeah, nah, she helped him escape. This is how it went down." Like, I don't know if y'all heard about from Clinton here in upstate New York. They even did a TV movie about it or something like that, Escape from Dannemora. And this is the guy. So this is the guy. And yeah, so this is the guy. Let me see if I can find her. They had pictures from someplace else. I'm trying to figure out where it is. But yeah, I mean, like, so yeah, they're saying he's because he was actually there for um he's suspected for murder. He's charged with murder. He's charged with capital murder, and so yeah, he's basically he's his back is against the wall. He's got like nothing to lose, and now he's um okay. Yeah, she told her coworkers that once she escorted him to the court, she was going to seek medical attention for herself as she felt unwell. So she said that she was taking him to the courthouse for a mental health evaluation, but there was no mental health evaluation. And they never arrived at the courthouse, and neither her or him have been seen since. So yeah, because when they first gave the press conference, they didn't know that they didn't realize there was no hearing. Her Ford Taurus, her patrol car is abandoned, and yeah, they were unable to reach her by phone. So that's when they realized that that he and her weren't there. Um, okay, yes, here's a picture of her. Let me pull it up. Yeah, so that's her. And so, yes, she's been there for with the jail for 25 years. 25 years. And they said she was actually like recently voted like the like an award for the best prison worker at the establishment. So it's yeah, it's like that desire, that danger factor is a very real factor that women will find appealing. And it's funny because guys will look at it like I've actually heard guys say this, like, oh, what could she see in him? What could a woman see in him? And I'm like, that it's sounding like you don't understand what excites women, because that level of danger is something that can be very appealing to a woman. That untamed masculinity, and but guys a lot of times just don't realize it because they're looking at it as in what will like what they think a man should be, as opposed to what a woman, just evolutionary may be attracted to. She was easily played. Her life is over. Yeah, because yeah, like there's been cases like this. Like I said, the escape at Dannemora, where the officer actually helped them escape, and just things went real south for them. Like it's over. It's one thing to just be messing with an inmate, which is a dangerous thing for officers anyway, because of how the law views it. But it's really, really dangerous. It's really if you're gonna help somebody escape, now it's a whole nother level that she's looking at. Was it? So I think he was a killer for hire, and so yeah, so like this, yeah, this isn't just your a random dude. They must have gave her a promotion to someone else. I bet. All the prisoners. Well, you see, this is so like at that level. But my question is, because she's a higher up, the question is how much interaction did she have with prisoners? Um, but like this guy appears to like he appears to know like and what's critical at that point is he's got to have a mouthpiece on him. He's got to know how to talk to him. He's got to know, and that's emotional intelligence. Like it's going to take some serious emotional intelligence for him to be able to um, pull her up. So let me just. Let me see something real quick. I'm putting something in the. Okay, so yeah. Okay. Okay, yeah. So let me pull you up. Hey, Jack Lad.
Hey,
what's going on?
Is this my good mic working, or does it sound messed up?
No, sounds good. Sounds good.
Okay, cool.
In fact, it might be. In fact, yeah. Let me. Is it? Let me. Anybody, let me know if there's an echo because I forgot to put my headphones in. But you go ahead.
Let me open this.
Okay.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
I missed the prisoner part. I caught half of it. I caught half of it.
Okay, yeah. So I think she's from like Alabama, and she's like kind of a higher up at the jail, and she tells them, "Oh yeah, I got to take him to the courthouse for a mental evaluation," and instead of just taking him for a mental evaluation, she just breezes like they're gone. And so she's like, "Oh yeah," she told them she's gonna take him for the mental evaluation, and afterwards she had her own her own thing she was gonna do, her own appointment, and then they find out that none of those things existed. She had no appointment, he had no mental health evaluation, they're just gone. And so I was like, listen, it's that there's often this appeal of the bad boy because you know how people like talk about the Pookies and Ray Rays. It's like it's women. Period. The excitement of of untamed masculinity is appealing because in the society, the basically the goal of the society is we want to tame people, everyone.
Well,
And
it
so
depends on the woman.
Right. Okay.
It's more so just like don't be boring, because if you're nice all the time, you're boring. If you're mean all the time, you're a dick. And if you're like aloof or lethargic or apathetic all the time, then she's gonna get bored, think you're not interested. It's mixing it up, because
okay,
it's one of those things you practice and get used to. Because I always tell young men to read and learn how to do it, so you don't end up like me in my early 20s, where I just sort of winged it and saw what worked and what didn't work.
Right.
And that ended with me being like manipulative.
Okay.
Which I didn't understand the difference at the time, so it caused me to be like really manipulative asshole. I mean, I got results, but I was like, don't do it. That's how you hurt people. Right? It's not.
Yeah.
And then like mid-20s, I started reading like mystery and stuff like that, and I got way better. So I was like, I could learn that where that line was of you don't have to be manipulative. It's more so you're trying to present yourself,
right?
Not so much. Because I was like, I can do, I was like, I could. If a woman was telling me stuff, I was like, see, I was doing the wrong thing. I was just like listening and going, oh, I could use that against you. I know where your emotional triggers are. I know. And I was like, I'm gonna use that to get what I want. And It was, I was like, don't do that. That's not. And I look at a lot of these like the red pill dudes, and I saw them. I remember in like 2014 early, And I was like, this is the blind leading the blind right here. I see them trying to like I see them getting bad responses from women, and then they just kind of like double down that it must have been the woman. And I was like, no, it's because he came off as like an asshole.
Right.
They'll
What?
do like their version of negging will be like they'll come in. I saw one guy that was like came in and he was like he said like that a lot of women in the bar like dress like sluts, and it's nice to see some women have some class. And I was like, women travel in groups, idiot. You just called her friends. You just told her friends look like sluts, and you think she's gonna respond well to you? Like, well, I don't. That's not gonna work. And then like, but they doubled down when it didn't get a good reaction. I was like, well, that was you. That was a you problem.
Yeah. So yeah, the thing about negging, like, so I think like there's a difference between going with that hardcore negging and then just not being always, yeah, that's my favorite movie too. Yeah, you like, your favorite color is blue, my favorite color is blue. Oh, you like Frosted Flakes, I like for like, yeah, that's just absolutely boring. And then the woman's like, okay, I got to get away from this dude. And so whereas when some dudes will take it to a point where they're taking some serious shots at women, like that's just hurtful, and they think like that's supposed to, end positively.
Yeah, that like I mean like I don't know, like an example I gave was like there was a I was talking to this she was Puerto Rican, but I was like something that's like playful. It just come off at the top of my head, and I was like, you got to be Afro Puerto Rican because your curls are almost as good as mine. I was like, that's being playful. That's joking around. You can't see because I got my hair tied back, but but it's like, but I'm like, yeah, I was like, I took a jab at her, but I'm playing around. I'm being playful. I'm not like saying her friends are ugly or her friends look like hoes. I was like, yeah, of course it's not gonna end well.
Definitely. So like in terms of so okay, like how familiar are you with Fresh and Fit? Like, do you
a little bit. I've seen them a bit. I was following a little bit of what happened to them before they started getting into their drama. I didn't even know they existed.
Okay.
To be honest. And then I started looking into it when they got caught up in their drama, and I was just like, wow, this is people listen to this, like especially what they say about black women. I was like, how do people listen to this?
I see that as a sign of how desperate a lot of guys are. Like, and that's not a dig on the dudes, but that's like just how unconnected a lot of young men are, that they're like, oh, I gotta find a woman, and they'll turn anywhere where they think they can get some type of answers.
That's why I remember seeing like the new Manosphere blowing up, and I was looking at it and I was like, this is being manipulative. This isn't like actual game. It's one of those things where it was like they would just keep doing these garbage tactics, get bad reactions, but it worked once. They had to try it 40 times, but it worked once.
Right.
And then they think they have to keep it like going in a relationship, and it makes it this like adversarial thing. And it's just like, you guys relax. Okay. It's not that serious. Have fun. Just have fun. Like if you're uptight and you're constantly thinking, it's not gonna end well. You just make both of you miserable.
Yeah. So like I had looked at it in terms of, if it's like there's certain techniques that will work on certain women, and the point is that the type of woman that you're actually looking for something long term with? So if that, like, it seems to be a lot of their perspective is self-fulfilling prophecy, where one, they're looking in the wrong places, and they're only looking for a certain type of woman, and then they get that result, that horrible version of a woman that they're saying, oh yeah, this is what these chicks are. They're useless. It's like, well, no, you're specifically crafting your approach to appeal to that woman.
Yeah. I've tried things before and they didn't work out, and you're just like, okay, well, I learned not to do that again. If something doesn't work, it's like, okay. Or sometimes I'll look and I'm like, oh, I know what I said wrong.
Right.
or sometimes like, it came off this way, I shouldn't have done that. And you get better over time. But I don't know, mate. I think I've seen like some of the Gen Z stuff, and I was like, yeah, Gen Z's weird. They're built for like the simp generation. So I don't know what's going on with Gen Z.
Do you see any attempts, like just regular for guys to just have regular relationships, platonic relationships with women? And do you think that that is actually something that can help?
Yeah, that definitely helps. You learn different things, different experiences. I think the worst thing is a lot of the guys who do good jobs working on themselves, but they don't practice their ability to speak, and then that makes you a target for predatory women. And then they have bad experiences with predatory women, and then they get very bitter. I had a friend like this who was really wealthy, no game. Me and the homeboys were always trying to protect him for these women that were just like pretty open, that they just wanted to get stuff out of them. And it was just, I mean, like he was a pretty he was pretty, like, he was kind of like awkward at the time, but so it was really easy to take advantage of him. And it was like, I remember one place I was working, it was I think she was like, I forget what her actual job title was, but she was there because she was with the dude who owned the place. And the dude, you could tell, wealthy, no game. And it was like, when you looked at what he looked like versus what she looked like and how she reacted to him, you were like, ooh, she is here for the paycheck. And I was like, I think that's because he didn't learn how to watch out for those women. I think I remember this. I felt bad because we were outside of the building once, and she's like this. She's got her phone out. She's looking down, and he tries to put his arm around her, and immediately she didn't even look up. She just goes like, she just like pulls away, like she just like pulls over.
Right.
And I was just like, oh man, I felt that. I was like, she's got a boyfriend. Like you gotta. I just tell that people get money. You got to learn how to talk to people.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And like not leading with money, because if you're leading with money, like you're putting yourself in a really bad position where you're going to attract somebody who just wants the money. So like there are guys that will say that, like, will give that type of advice, and I'm like, that's such bad advice. Like that's how you get played. That's how you get played. That's how you get robbed.
Yeah.
You know?
I see, me personally, I make her invest in me as well. So then it's like, now you got something to lose.
Right.
All right. So I'm not giving you a ride. You got to have something. You got to have some sort of you got to have some sort of investment in me as well. Otherwise, it's like, well, if she leaves, then she doesn't lose anything.
Right.
It's all back and forth. It's one of those things you just do and you learn as you go along. But yeah, I've seen with bad instruction, it can take you into like these really destructive paths, as I've seen like other guys do. Especially because I went to a trade school where you had a lot of guys who were like pretty like awkward, and they weren't bad dudes or anything. They were just awkward and needed to learn how to present themselves better. And it ended with some of them going into those like bad manosphere spaces. Or some of them just went straight into like MGTOW, and like I don't get those guys that are like all like promoting MGTOW. And I was like, that sounds like some gay shit, to be honest. To me, I was like, I don't get y'all just because you had a bunch of bad experiences, but okay.
See, I didn't even know what MGTOW was, and then I knew a guy that would like kept like he was sharing like MGTOW information. I'm like, what is this? And I'm listening to this, and I'm like, and literally my mind is like, who hurt you? Like, it's like, I get that you could have had bad experiences, you could have been hurt, but like to then just say, oh, I'm closing off, like I'm done. Like I'm like, that seems to me to be a rather extreme situation, a rather extreme reaction to, instead of realizing, okay, like what did I do wrong? What could I have done better? What could I do to avoid something like that in the future? Is there something I could be watching out for? Is there something I could, because what I can't control, generally speaking, is what women do. I can control how I approach situations. And so I can't make women be loyal and truthful and honest. I can be, I can improve my ability to decipher when a woman is being loyal, is being honest, is being straightforward with me.
I think that was one of the at least one of the benefits of, like I said, actually, unfortunately, being like really manipulative is at least now I can spot easily when someone's trying to do it to me. Because I spot a couple women and I was like, no, I use that tactic. It's not going to work on me.
Right.
So I mean, like, it was like that. At least that was a benefit. I learned something from it. I didn't just like take it and throw it away. I was like, I can, learn stuff from this. And like you said, like the trade I was in, there weren't tons of like really fine women. So, if you were like a decent dude who knew how to talk, you could pretty much pick anyone you want. So, which led to you had a lot of the orbiter types, and some of them I felt bad for. Some of them were just, it was because they were just awful people. So I mean, one tried to fight me once. It was the weirdest thing ever. Because he didn't. I mean, I understand why he didn't like me, because he kept trying to like buy her gifts and she didn't want them, so she kept giving them to me, and he noticed like all the stuff he's buying kept ending up with me. And I was like, one time he just like approached me and like he got her like tickets to a show, and she gave me the ticket instead, and then like as a favor he went to one of her shows, but we were both like uninterested, just in the back messing around. And he comes in and like we're sitting down on a step, and he like comes in, threatens me, and then like high school me kicks in, and then we're about to have like a nigga moment, and like that was weird, because like that's when the fight or flight were just kicked in, because I was afraid he's gonna like walk up and kick me in the face or something.
Right.
But a lot of these dudes, they didn't do anything. He just sort of got scared because I had like 6 inches on him. But I was like, some of them are really like, they'll lash out at you.
And to make, because I see that as being that level of emotionality, that level of like, that's not a good look. That's not the masculine look of allowing yourself to be that volatile over, like, as men. Like, if we're going to sit here and say, even though humans are emotional creatures, period, right? But if we're going to sit here and paint women as the more emotional sex, that means we have to exercise control over our emotions. We have them, but we have to exercise control over them. So if we're in a position where things don't work out right, we get hurt, we got to deal with it. We got to process it and not lash out. Like, because when you're seeing these, and in some extreme cases where you'll see a woman dumps a dude, and then she winds up no longer breathing. It's like these dudes are like, that's the extreme level of just not being able to handle and process the emotions, and just handle rejection. Something as simple as that.
Yeah, I think like I said, it depends on what groups you ran with. And I was like in a younger, or not younger, but like I said, a lot of people in the trade, like I was in, very awkward, didn't know any better, and they had trouble. Yeah, they were not good at keeping their emotions in check. Whereas like, other groups, it's just sort of like, yeah, that sucks, but whatever.
Right.
It was like, I've seen some like bad breakups with friends, and they were just like, there was nothing I could have done, so I'm gonna let that go. Or like have beef with other dudes, and they're just like, we're just gonna settle this and let it go. Some of the younger people, I do notice they have a really hard time keeping their emotions in check.
Yeah. I've seen some guys that don't handle rejection so well, but I've had the benefit is to be around guys. So like, in terms of being around women that you can learn some game from, that's great. But also being around guys that can help you like not react poorly and just handle the rejection. Deal with it, move on. Okay, you got kicked to the curb. Hey, let's come out here. Let's meet somebody else. Let's get you over the hump. Because yeah, it when I'm seeing dudes on that, like I really don't know. I have trouble understanding how and why the MGTOW situation is as large as it is. I mean, I really, but it's the guys are in a position where they want to make these connections, and so they're willing to listen to anybody who will say anything to them.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering when I was like, I've never heard of Fresh and Fit, and I saw how big they are, and I was like, how do these guys get so big?
So in fact, they just like Friday, they were on a show, and Fit is telling, it's just an Australian show, and Fit is telling the woman that, my girl isn't allowed on Instagram. She shouldn't, because if she's on Instagram showing off her body, that's cheating. And so she says, wait, what about a guy? Are guys allowed on Instagram? He said, well, it's different. Basically, he's like, guys are allowed to cheat, women aren't allowed to cheat. And
what? Oh, he's one of those dudes. Okay.
Yeah. And so then her partner, because it's a guy and a woman, and her partner gets on and says, what? Like, he just goes off on a Fit and then kicks them off the show. So yeah, that's the latest thing. It was like an old Australian couple. Or I don't know if they're an actual, romantic couple, but like they're at least on-air couple. And he just went off on them and went off on Fresh, basically Fit, and kicked them off the show.
Yeah, I'm like, if you don't like women who show off their bodies for money, just don't date those women.
But then those are the women he keeps bringing on the show. Those are the women that he keeps surrounding himself with. It's like, dude, like, you can't sit here and from what we're hearing, those are the women that you're even pursuing off camera. So like, clearly something's not like, it's you. It's not them. It's you.
Yeah, he's the one caught on the Sugar Daddy site, right?
Okay, no, that Fresh was caught on the Sugar Daddy site.
Okay.
Fit was the one where the chick that was right next to him, well, she made some accusations. It turns out that it appears that it was just a relationship that just went sour, but she's there from Instagram or OnlyFans or something like that, and she's on the show, and then off the show he's messing with her, and it's like,
oh yeah, I remember that, and I saw the texts. Yeah, that was when he was like, yeah, you want to get on my show? Yes. So like,
thirsty. It's crazy. Like, this is like, is this your king? That's why I look at this and I'm like, okay, yeah, there really needs to be, like, guys really need to, like, you can learn, instead of spending hundreds of dollars learning whatever these guys are claiming to teach you, you can actually have a female friend and learn like in the field. Like, you can,
or just, yeah, like I was like, I think also there's other places you can go. This is why I said old school stuff tends to be better than the Reddit POA like artists. I was like, when I was like trying to learn to stop being like so manipulative, I was like reading like Mystery and How to Win Funds and Influence People is a really good book too. Okay. That's actually helpful. That's helpful in every scenario. That's what I'll tell the guys to do. Fresh and Fraud. They're both frauds.
It is. Fraud and fraud.
I always get them confused. Which was the one who tried to get in a fight and he got the gun in Florida?
That was Fresh.
Okay. Yeah.
And they tried to cap. Like, oh no, I was getting that gun anyway. Listen, you challenged Abern. You challenged them to a fight. Preach says, okay, you wasn't expecting that. You weren't expecting Preach to say, okay, I'm coming to Florida next week.
And then like, name the gym. We'll meet there. I'm not gonna fight you on the street. You get arrested for stupid shit.
We'll get gloves. He said, we'll get gloves. We'll get in I'll beat both of your asses. And Then he's like, "Oh no, listen, we don't even need to talk about that. Like that, like just got out of hand. We should like it shouldn't have even be
It was when
violence
he
isn't an
found out
answer."
he was in like MMA and stuff, right? And
Yes,
that's when he was
yes,
like,
yeah.
"Oh,
He's like you really picked the wrong one. And then he's on camera buying a gun. It's like stop it, because in Florida, and then Fit tries to, the former federal agent, uh, just like wow, it's funny.
oh
He's
yeah,
just
he
like
was a Fed. I remember when that came out."
yeah, um, he's he's like, oh no, the waiting period to get a gun. What he described was the waiting period to get a concealed carry license. That's a length of time. To get a gun, it's less than 72 hours. It's less than 72 hours to buy a firearm in Florida. So they completely misrepresented that, because that wasn't you getting a concealed carry. That was you actually buying a firearm. So like you did that in direct response, and you put that online, like kind of as a like, oh, I've got a gun. Don't come by me,
Yeah, usually the dudes who are talking the most, like, "I want to fight you," are the dudes who don't know. I was like, I've
Right,
never met a martial artist who's like, "I want to fight you," or like some random dude talking shit. Like,
right.
I don't care what you got to say.
By the way, I'm not mad at their business strategy, because they're looking for three things: money, opportunities, and sex. I'm just mad that the gutter show and influencing people to become gutter. Like, well, yeah. So, in fact, okay. So, money, opportunity. So, definitely. So, the money, fitness, women. Those are definitely three things to be working on. Um, but like I like it how people point out that's not where your attention is coming from. You're getting your attention for the ratchet stuff that you're doing, which, to some degree that's on the audience. If that's all the audience is
I mean,
tuning
they're
in
gonna
for,
play to their audience if they
yeah,
know that's their audience. Then they're
yeah.
gonna play to their audience.
But the question is, how much value are they actually genuinely helping people? Um, that's the question. I don't know. I'm not paying for their course. I'm not trying to take their course, or even investigate their course. But hey, I said, hey, if you want information about money, there's a bunch of guys on YouTube and finance YouTube that are providing free information. Like I said, I'm doing my own financial education, and so I'm going to start putting some information out, as I learn more. Put
Yeah, I
some
learned
stuff
a
out.
lot of that a bit late because the school
Right.
systems are terrible. And I got sent out of my neighborhood to a rich school.
Yeah.
Because I mean, my mom's like, "You're getting in trouble here. We're going to a rich school and like a charter school," and they didn't teach you anything about finance.
Yeah.
And so I had to learn a lot late. And I'm mad because I was aware of Bitcoin when it was $2.
Wow.
I was
Wow.
like, I'm gonna put.
Wow.
And then when I got a really decent paying job, and I was like, and that's when Bitcoin's like 200, and I was like, I should put aside a little bit for Bitcoin, and then I spent it on dumb stuff. And now I'm like, oh my god, I'm fucking stupid.
Man, that's oh man, I feel for you.
I'm so dumb. I got some other cryptos at the time, and they didn't take off that well. But it's like, oh, man, why did I do that?
Yeah, like I don't know if you heard my JC Penney story.
Oh yeah, you told me about that. Yeah. I tend to invest in businesses. I understand the business side. I used to work in games, so I tend to invest in games because I know the business end.
Right.
Because I worked in small companies where I worked like right next to the marketing dudes and I was like, okay, I know how to like read what to do, what not to do. When it comes to other companies, I'm like, I'm not sure. I gotta look into learn how to read financial documents and all that.
Right. Fresh and Fit equivalent to the Maury Show. No real value, but your audience loves gutter behavior. I mean, it's amazing because now that he mentions it, like it is like Maury. It's like Jerry Springer. Just like, wow, yeah, you find out what works on TV. Okay, listen, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like some of the stuff they say, it's like you can learn that in other places, though.
Yeah,
right. Like you don't need
to pay. Yeah, like especially if you're paying for like I don't know what their courses teach. but like some of this stuff is available out there for either for free or just for way cheaper.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, like, you know, a lot of people who are like invest and like, or especially the ones who it's like go to the gym. It's like you don't need some like
Yes.
pickup group to tell you to
Yeah.
go to the gym, dude.
Right. Go to the
It's
gym.
a lot of those
Get-
dudes. It tends to be that they lack motivation. I found because you'll get those guys who are like young, they don't know any better, and they'll go like women only like fit dudes, and I'm like, well, do you want to get with certain women? And they're like, yes. And I was like, well, you just answered your own question. Go to the gym right now. Like, I don't know if you're not doing it, then like I don't know what you want. Like, you know, if you know the solution that type of woman likes that, go do it. But in the end, it's also like it's talking to people. You can get blown the fuck out by the chubby dude if the chubby dude is really funny or the really charismatic, or like, because evolutionary wise, men developed a lot more ways to attract women than the other way around.
And I think you made a really good point, like about the chubby guy. The chubby guy that knows how to talk, is funny, witty, and just basically knows how to make a woman feel good, like keep her excited, keep her entertained. Whereas the guy that's buff and works out all the time, and and he has the classic look, and he has like just the personality of a log.
Yeah, I told
And
that to a dude once. I was like, yeah, you can go get swole and get the body, but now you're just a swole weirdo.
Yeah.
Like, you just went from like an unattractive weirdo to a swole weirdo. It's gonna end the same.
I heard your co-host talking about crypto. Not sure if he wants to take this route, but Ice Pisidian created a crypto and sold it to his audience and pulled the money out and made $500,000. Not financial advice.
Yeah, I'd have to research that. Like, I knew about NFTs really, really early, but I was also like, NFT that one sounded. I was like, I don't know, and I was kind of right on that one. NFTs are kind of not ending well. A lot of people rejecting it. I mean, some people make a killing off of it, but right now I just don't see it in my experience. But then maybe I'm wrong and I'm gonna lose out on a whole bunch of money. I don't know.
Yeah. Remember, at the moment, there's no real but it's coming. The federal laws and reg is coming. Like, they want it. Like, you could even see what they did with the meme stocks. Like, they're chopping at the bit to try to stop like people from taking advantage of this. Because Robinhood and them changed the game. They changed the game. Commissions were gone. Like, yo, they changed the game.
I still got my GMC.
Okay.
Or just me. Sorry.
Okay.
GMC. I still have
AMC?
it. I didn't get AMC, and I wish I did, because same thing. I was like, I got GME, doing well, still doing okay on that. Didn't get AMC because it was taking too long, and I was like, I'm really kind of, I kind of only wanted to get in one, but AMC hit 50, and I was like, that's the thing with stocks. Sometimes you're just like, you killed it, and then other times you're like, why didn't I do that?
And the thing about AMC, I went ahead and bought JCPenney, and I didn't buy AMC, despite the fact that I also liked AMC when I could have bought AMC. And then when AMC actually, because AMC did what I was hoping JCPenney would do. And so when AMC took off, I was like, guys, you're gonna save JCPenney? I was like, please.
You're sitting there checking it every day. Get up for market open, get up for market close, and you're just. And I know, like, Elizabeth Warren was constantly going on about, oh no, we got to stop crypto and stay reliant on the Fed. And I was like, do not. But I think, like, just as libertarians, we have everything. We're all prepped for everything. All of us, we have crypto, stock, gold, silver. We always prep for everything. We never put any faith in the Fed.
Apparently Ice Pisidian did a pump and dump. He put his money into the crypto, told his audience, they all bought it, and then he pulled his money out and left people broke.
I saw a lot of people go on like big podcasts and they'll promote an NFT or crypto, and then they pump and dump it. And that's why I was like, I'll never touch those.
Javier, I made money off cryptocurrency. I'm glad I pulled right time before I needed to pay taxes on Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saved myself through the inflation going on right now with Bitcoin. Still mad at Elon Musk for crashing it, but at the same time I'm not, because I was like, I also bought it and I didn't sell it. I also bought it when everyone was selling it at 25. I was just like, okay, you want to give me your Bitcoin for 25? All right, I got no problem with that. That sounds smart.
Right.
And then it went back up, but I was like, because I remember people were tracking, because you can track the amount sold, and a lot of it was being sold after like Elon's like, oh, I'm not taking Bitcoin anymore because the environment. A lot of the sales were very small amounts, and a lot of the buys were in huge amounts. So like a lot of the poor people who didn't really know about like crypto and just kind of wanted to get on the craze ended up selling, and the rich people started, buying up in mass.
Right.
So I was like, yeah, that was a scam. I do not trust that Elon just did that because I care about the environment. I'm like, okay, come on, dude.
Not much. I am black pill normie. Okay, so Javier, so you, as a black pill, you think that I don't. So I'm not gonna say I don't understand the black pill, because I guess there might have been a time when I might have thought. I'm trying to think. Was there ever a time that I don't think there was ever a time when I really bought into black pill, because here's why I think that even, excuse me, even when I was, younger and in my ugly stage, I said, okay, then here's what I got to do. I got to work on my personality. I got to be a better person, and that's how I'm going to find, a good woman. I'm just going to be a better person, because I felt like if I'm going to be ugly, I'm going to be ugly. But I said I had to work on my person. I just have to be a better person. So I never really saw or thought that, there's no hope for somebody who's not physically attractive. But like what I've seen since, like I've seen some things that I see how like game is incredible. It's like spells. It's like like
it's just knowing psychology and knowing what men were given, knowing how, a lot of women's psychology work, and then knowing what tools men were given to attract women.
Right.
And the way I explain it, a lot of the people in the dating game, it's like this. It's like dating sort of is like an EA game, right? With enough skill and patience and everything, you can get there. But if you just can't, you can always pay to win. If you got nothing going, you got no physique, no charisma, no body, if you got money, you flex some money, but you're not going to attract the type of woman you want like that, though, usually. And so you're going to get opportunists.
Oh, yeah. And like understanding how much words, how far words can go, and just the ability to speak goes with women. Because how to what extent verbal plays with women as opposed to just with men. Men are just used to the visual, but understanding just the way that women's brains work differently is like will take you light years further than just assuming that, okay, she thinks like me, but she wears a dress.
And knowing the evolutionary psychology of man too.
Okay, so
you know what you're given, you know what they're given, you know what to work with. And it's a matter of, gauging yourself too, and where you are and what you can't get away with, because not everyone can get away with the same stuff. Depends where you are. Because I'm with women that I'm like, she shouldn't be with me. I'm like, I'm outclassed.
Women's standards are going up over time. Being a nerd is not attractive on college campus. I gave up after White Becky wanted to have a date through Zoom. I go out to the gym. Okay, so now wait, was this during the lockdown time? Because I think a lot of people were doing, interactions through Zoom at that point.
People were dating through Zoom in lockdown. I spent all my time in the gym. I was just like, I'm gonna just bury my time in the gym.
In New York, the gyms were closed down for like most of 2020.
It was early on. We closed down in Cali. But then I'm like, they're like, oh no, curfew's in lockdown. I'm just like laughing libertarian. I just ignored it and I went did my thing. I was like, if Newsom wants to arrest me for being out after 9, like you know, some cops just want to do whatever he says. I was like, I don't care. I'll get arrested. I'll complain, sue the city, do whatever I got to do.
Right.
But then I had my gym opened up pretty early, and they didn't do mask mandates or anything, and we never had like an outbreak there or anything. A couple of people got sick, but they just stayed home and it was over. But
Big Five Sporting Goods stock I bought when it's $10, shop 35. So I'm actually working on a video in terms of stocks. Once again, I'm not going to be giving financial advice, but just some information on, you know, how people can, just some potentially useful information if people want to consider investing in stocks. Yeah, I understand the black pill. Honestly, just work on yourself. The woman will come. And it's not even just that the woman will come, but be able to go and talk to women and being able to read women. Because there's so many times, I forget exactly how it went, but something I just saw recently with women talking about how guys don't get signs. Okay, I think it was a skit. There's another YouTuber. There's this YouTuber, and he did the skit of like guys not understanding women's signs, and she was just dropping, like she wasn't even dropping hints, and he was just like she was like, yeah, I'm so I think she says I'm tired, and then he's like, oh okay, so I guess we could just turn off the movie then, and she's like, no, I'm good. I can stay here. And so he was like, then he's like, she goes to put her arm around him, and he goes, it's kind of hot in here. And so she goes, oh yeah. So she starts to like unbutton. He goes, no, don't do that. So yeah, like a lot of times guys will be oblivious to signs, and that sometimes guys are oblivious. Sometimes guys are just afraid to act on the signs, and so that's where familiarity comes in, actually dealing with women.
I mostly invest in dividend stocks. Yeah.
Okay. Dividend. Okay.
I buy Big Five. I was there not too long ago.
Yeah, I've never even heard of Big Five. Is that West Coast?
Yeah, I don't know if it's just there, but we have it here.
Okay.
Although I'm trying to go less because I'm trying to like restructure how I shop, because I'm trying to like I'm trying to go to black businesses right now. I'm trying to stay at black owned businesses right now.
Right.
Trying to put my money there.
I get it. Yeah. Self-improvement is absolutely key. I'm going to take the easy way out and go to Mexico. Dating in the USA is hard mode, especially if you are an Asian guy. It's brutal.
Yeah, see, I mean, it depends. It depends on the culture. You do have to learn some different stuff. Like in other languages, I can kind of be like, I know what I want to say, but I'm not sure if it'll be portrayed accurately, and I might just trip over myself.
Right.
But yeah, it depends on the girl. Usually I was like, well, it depends on the country. It depends on how interested you are in their culture too. That will get you a long way. As long as you're actually like interested and you're not like just pulling off some nonsense, because those women will be able to tell. Japanese women, you speak Japanese to them, it'll like actual good Japanese, that will actually like they'll flip on you. They'll go from baseline polite to like super
attentive,
not repeating what you heard on an anime. So
right
actually knowing it, because that was my experience. Whenever as soon as I start speaking, they're like, oh, okay.
Well, yeah, speaking somebody's language is a powerful way to create a connection with them, you know. So like seriously. so many Asian girls with white guys in my so many Asian girls and white guys in my college campus. I think it's a stereotype.
You know, I remember when you see this, those like manosphere types. I noticed two things really piss them off: is black men with white women and black men with Asian women. That really pisses them off. I have never heard the term coal burner so much in my life.
Wow,
that was the first time I heard that term.
Yeah,
it was like, and you can tell if they haven't because they'll go, "Oh, they're so polite and submissive." I'm like, "You've never dated an Asian girl. That's your that's your stereotype." And I was like, "Yo, you think black women will explode at you? Nah. See, black women, Hispanic women, they might go off on you right then and there. Asian women, you will not know if you did something wrong. They'll act completely normal, and then once you get home, you will get chewed out worse than what any black or Hispanic woman could ever do to you. They don't fuck around. They're serious.
Definitely. Yeah, I look at it as in, yeah, so like what you're talking about with some of those terms. Yeah, I've heard those terms being tossed around. And so like when I heard Fresh and Fit talking about like we're not no night riders. I was like, yeah, that's that was straight out of from that side of the. I believe if people took more time and read books, society will overall boost. I've read Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies, financial books, social books. I feel and think better. So like, yeah, a lot of these gurus, and even if you're going to say these gurus, some of these gurus are just selling dreams. If they're telling you to read books, like, and not just their books, just to read books, like that's not a bad piece of advice, you know? So one thing, like one of the books that actually changed my perspective with money was Rich Dad, Poor Dad, because I started reading the book thinking it was going to be, oh, this is how you get rich. And instead, like, it's not like, oh yeah, you just invest in these stocks and do this, and this will make you rich. But he actually broke down, get a financial education. And then
I got to put that on my list.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to that one yet.
Oh, man, that really. So being in the position, I had the benefit of being in a position where I was around a lot of different people and people that were like, some people very rich, like super rich. And so I think that's part of it, like being able to just see that there's another, there's something else that exists other than just what I've seen, what I've grown up around. Because if we don't even see it, then we don't even know it's possible.
That is a benefit of living in a city too, is you'll have more of those opportunities than if you're just like, you know, sort of like rural middle of nowhere, you don't have as many social interactions.
Yeah.
Like all the rich people are like here, so you get a lot more opportunities. I noticed I met a couple millionaires. It's funny, I meet them at like thrift shops too. You usually meet them in like cargo shorts and sandals at like thrift shop getting clothes for like, you know, $5.
Right.
Well, it's like that's why they're millionaires.
Yeah, I remember a friend of mine. He says, we went to a Knick game, and he says, like, so when I get to the Knick game, because I didn't know going in where we were sitting. So when I get there, I see the general entrance, and you know, he says, I go to the general entrance, I don't see him, and then he texts me. He says, no. He says, where you at? I said, yeah, I'm at the general entrance. He says, no, not that entrance. He says, go around the corner. So I go around the corner. I'm like this is the VIP entrance. He's like, yes. He's like, I'm about to ruin basketball games for you forever. There's this huge line, you know, in front of the general entrance. We go there. There's just like 3 people up there. We just go straight in. Like we go up to the to that club they have. I think it was the Delta Club at the time. It's food. It was like and then we get to the seats and
you just
it's
walked
like,
in?
huh? Oh yeah. Well, you know, yeah, because where that entrance is like just there's very limited people going through, and you just go in like there's some security there just to make sure you have the ticket. So yeah, he has the tickets. Boom. He takes me up, but we go up to the to like the Delta Club, and like there's steak, burgers, shrimp cocktail, like it's just so much like it's I'm like, what the and then we go to the seats and we're like right there. And so I he was right. Like going to the game was never the same again after that moment. I
You're
was like, yeah,
spoiled.
you did.
You're
Yeah.
spoiled, and you're like, I can't go back. There's no way. It doesn't work anymore. And you just sit there like you'll just be sitting in the stands like
Yeah.
eating your like $20 nachos or something.
Right.
Like I got too spoiled. That happens in LA a lot. Yeah, I was gonna say that. Yeah, read a lot.
Yeah.
That will help you. It will sharpen your mind. Another thing I tell a lot of dudes, learn a martial art. That actually helps you a lot. That will like a lot of dudes who if you struggle or something with anything, do that. That will help you a lot. You'll get you fit really quick. You'll definitely get way more confidence. You'll feel better. Get sugar out of your system. That's another one.
Sugar.
Do not eat processed sugar. That poisons your mind. That is poison. Because I remember when I got off of that, and I was just like, I can think so clearly now. It's I'm not all. If you feel all cloudy after you have it, and it's just like you have trouble paying attention. I was like, once you get that out of your system, man, your mind just clears up. It sucks for about 3 weeks or so. You get the headaches and you feel sluggish, but once it's out, it's fucking great.
I was an absolute sugar addict. 2020, I completely OD'd. And that became the excuse. That was my excuse. Everything shut down. I was working like crazy though. But so I was working so much that I would go to work and like I had at the job in our locker room, we had, the fridge. I would load it up with stuff, So I've got, sugary juices in there. I've got ice cream. There's a Krispy Kreme opened up right by the job. I would go by, hey, I'm getting 2 dozen donuts for me and the guys, and everybody takes one, and then there's still like 18 donuts left. Okay, I guess I gotta eat them. Yeah, the sugar, bad, so bad.
You'll get it's legal cocaine basically.
Yes,
keep it bad. You'll gain fat like. Maybe that's why some of these people in the fat acceptance movement say I'm just like this, and I'm like, no, it's probably because maybe you are working out, but you're eating sugar, so you're not gonna lose fat doing that. The sugar is gonna make sure you stay fat.
Yeah, yeah.
I was never fat. I always have like a small frame, but when it came to like trimming everything down to get everything more chiseled, I was like, once I got the sugar out, it sped up so fast. It went from just like a crawl after doing heavy cardio to just like doing significantly less cardio, and I'm dropping like 3% body fat in like 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, that stuff is poison.
I see both you guys are libertarians. How do you guys feel about fast food and its relation to American society? So like, of course, I think don't make any laws. Like I'm against them making like in Bloomberg I think it was Bloomberg that did the whole like no. If people like I can advocate against drinking soda and still say it should still be somebody's choice if they choose to listen to my advice, my suggestions, my perspective. It's still their body, their choice, whether or not they're actually going to listen.
Health education in the younger grades too, high school, really important. Because I'll see the family coming out of McDonald's and they'll like have obese kids, and you're just like, but I don't think it's the government's place,
right,
to say no, you can't have this. I think it's just education. But like I said, because the government standardized education, and then a lot of the times the health education it's government. It's backed by government. They're going to tell you what the corporations tell you. Well, this is what you should eat. This is generally what you should do. And it's like, no, don't do what that says. That's not good for you. So it's a lot of this can be fixed with just like education on a community by community basis, as opposed to just like federalizing and standardizing everything. It never ends well. I've never seen any like federally standardized stuff that ended well for anybody. And all the trades, like a lot of schools, if they do offer a trade, they'll cut you off if you're not good in some like, you know, something you don't care about. I got cut off from art classes for not doing well in science, and then went on to do artwork for like 7 years. So it's like, I'm like, yeah, this like a lot of it is a bit of a tangent, but a lot of it's schools and education.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think there needs to be more education because, like, I didn't realize how much of how bad soda was. Like, I remember when I was younger, I would hear about soda. I'm like, it's liquid. My whole point was it's liquid. How can you gain weight from liquid? That was just my perspective. And then once I cut the high fructose corn syrup out of my diet, like I if I tried to drink soda after that, I could feel it. I could feel the poison, like like I could feel it. It's just an automatic feeling when I would try to drink it. I remember I bought a cherry Coke, and I used to love cherry Coke. I bought it. I took about 2 sips, and I just felt disgusting. I
did that yesterday. I tried to have one soda, and I was just like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I'm like, it tastes weird now.
Yeah.
I was like, man, orange Fanta doesn't taste weird. It's almost like you can feel it in your mouth.
Yeah.
And then if it becomes a habit in terms of your eating, it'll be very difficult to go back.
Right.
That's the good thing you want. Develop the habit, it'll be hard to go back. That's it with anything. This is why I like sometimes my channel, I don't make a video for a month. Like I'll get lazy. Don't make anything. But then once I make one, it tends to spiral into the next, into the next. And then if I stop for a week, I'm like, I can't think of anything.
Like it's funny that because he's talking about the whole education and fast food system, because I remember I had gotten into an argument on Twitter, and I was talking about how, because people's like, oh, the reason why people obesity isn't a choice, it's poverty and stuff. And I'm like, no, fast food is actually more expensive than you have these fruit. Case in point, I was at a Shake Shack. This was a couple of years ago. I'm at a Shake Shack in Brooklyn. And so I'm in downtown Brooklyn, the Shake Shack that's like right by Fulton Ave. In the Shake Shack, there's a presumably homeless guy begging for money so he could buy some Shake Shack. Across the street, there's a line of fruit stands where you could buy 4 bananas for $1. You could buy 3 oranges for $1, but he wants $10 so he could buy a burger and stuff. And with that same $10, he could load up on fruit. And he doesn't even need to buy all the fruit now because he doesn't have a fridge. He could buy $1, buy some bananas, buy some orange. Like he can have a lot more food if he goes across the street to the fruit stand. I'm like, listen, poverty, like they pretend that fast food is cheaper than stuff like just raw fruit is ridiculous.
Yeah, over time it adds up very quickly.
But yeah, like what there's this meme they have of the cut up fruit. They have the cut up fruit, and they're like, oh, it's this is $5 for this little cup of fruit, and then they show $1 for a thing of fries, and I'm like, well, if you bought the whole fruit,
yeah, that's where a lot of it comes expensive.
Yes, yeah,
it's sort of like what was it in health? I forget it was. You get 2 of the 3. You get either like it was healthy, fast, and what was the other one? I can't remember the last. It was healthy, fast, and expensive. That was it.
Okay.
You can get 2 of the 3. You can't have all 3.
Okay.
You can get healthy and fast, but it's going to be pricey, or you can get, cheap and fast, but it's going to be horrible for you.
Right.
And if you want, if you want healthy and cheap, you're going to have to cook it yourself, which tends to be what I have to do. So it's a chore, but you'll get used to it. But yeah, it is heavily education based. I still agree with you should be able to do it if you want to. I mean, like I said, I really don't care if you want to eat yourself to death. I wish you wouldn't do that.
Right.
And if you don't know what's going on, I wish you would know what's going on. But it's really not my business to say what you do. It's the same thing. Like if you want to snort coke every day, okay,
Yeah.
don't do it. But it's not good for you.
Rocket Man, Rocky Matrix. Women are complicated. I believe humans are complicated. But just because we're complicated doesn't mean we can't be understood. And I think like understanding that maybe complicated, and maybe there's a difference between complex and complicated. And I gotta look that up just to break down those distinctions again. But like I believe that there's layers to women, and like we can learn. Like if we say, okay, I can't. Women are complicated, and then just throw up our hands. That's not going to be good for us. That's not going to be good for relationships. That's not going to be good for women because they're not going to. Because like women oftentimes want us to be able to understand them, so that they don't have to spell things out.
I say dumb women aren't complicated. Smart, like a lot of game stuff is universal. It'll work on any woman until you get that smart woman that knows everything you're doing. Then it's like, okay, now this is gonna be a challenge. You have to mix it up
like
on the fly.
There's a specific approach that you like. General approaches will not work on this type of woman. Yeah,
that tends to be what I prefer, the smart women. So it's much harder.
Right. Although just you said smart, not necessarily intelligent or educated, because there's a lot of educated. Definitely. I get it.
I wouldn't say educated. I was like,
right. Oh yeah, educated.
You've seen the stuff coming out of the schools. I'm like, yeah, you got that piece of paper, but
yeah.
I'm not hearing a lot of substance coming out of your mouth. I mean, like those really socially smart women, they'll pick up on what you're doing, and then it starts to get like fun but really
interesting.
complicated.
Yes. Like when you can get into a position where y'all are both maneuvering, like that's actually kind of exciting. That's actually and so I remember because I had actually gotten into that point, and that's kind of what taught me to not to get or like emotional in terms of like if I lose, I lose. Take it in stride, because like if we're both playing, I can't be mad that I lose. You
might get that anxiety, like you're this close, you're so close, and then if you fuck up, you're like, oh, whatever. Damn, okay, I know what I did. Gotta correct it next time.
So yeah, like
or sometimes you can try again, but you don't do it right away.
Right. Oh yeah, but like, so that's the thing is even if you're dealing with something like rejection, there's an approach to rejection of just take it in stride where
I just make fun of myself.
Yeah. Well, like because you can leave. It's like leaving a job. Like you can either leave a job and say, screw all y'all, and throw things, just knock things over when you leave, and then later down the line, like either needs to work for that company or somebody from that company, and they're like, oh, we're definitely not dealing with you. But if you leave in a certain way, and then you're down the line, you meet up with somebody that was there at that time. They says, oh yeah, I remember you from this place. Oh yeah, come on in. And so like it's of leaving the door open, because it's one of the pettiest things I see is dudes will holler at a chick, get shot down, and then say, well, you ugly anyway, bitch. Like
I laugh at those guys.
Then why were you talking to her?
Yeah, yes. You like ugly girls?
Why did you just try to talk to her? Like you're lying. Like because what you're telling me then is, one, your game needs work. Two, you're fragile and emotional. Like you're fragile because that's what you're saying, that because you don't want to deal with the reality that you got rejected and you can't accept it.
If you can play it off with humor,
yes,
that's the best way to take it.
Yeah,
that's why I said I'll just make fun of myself.
Definitely.
Right? And then she'll get a laugh, you'll get a laugh, and then
and the time and an opportunity may present itself in the future, because like it's the way you handle rejection can actually impress a woman to make her say, that have that little curious, what if?
I had
Um,
that happen once. Yeah,
yeah.
because when you get all like loud and aggressive,
Oh,
you just look
yeah,
like a boy. You just look like annoying. You know,
definitely.
that just shows it's kind of revealing of how you handle yourself every other day anyway, or your thought process. And it's like that's not someone who's gonna have a good healthy mindset long term.
Right.
If they're just gonna throw tantrums because they got shut down once. It's just like, yeah, you're gonna do things, you're gonna fail, you're gonna like, okay, I gotta learn what I did wrong and correct. It was just like not all the I've seen like there's some decent like modern stuff out there, but I always tell the people just read the older stuff. There are some good the newer stuff out there that I could probably dig up, but it's that's why I always say I'll go with the classics like Mystery. I like the classics. I like those way better than some of this like some of the modern stuff. Because it's also because yeah, like I've seen these new like a lot of these newer dudes, they understand the concept, but they don't know how to use the concept, and then they end up using it horribly. Like you can get your woman under control without being an asshole. You're just doing it wrong. You don't have to. There's a difference between stern and being an asshole. And a lot of people like that's when I see people they don't know the line right there. They'll come off as controlling or like rude, or it's like you didn't have to say it like that. You could just say the same thing but reword it, in a more like it's like softer, but it's still stern. It's like because otherwise you sound like a commanding, you sound like a commanding dick, and you're not going to get a good response from that. And unless she's into that sort of thing, I knew a girl like that, but yeah, but she had daddy issues, so that's probably why. She had daddy issues. I had to watch out for her dad because some snow bunnies they don't like black dudes around their house. They're watching for that. Although I was once depending on where you are, once you're looking for a wife, it gets a bit harder.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
Because then you got to be a lot more picky and a lot more careful. Because there's a lot of girls who are like, yeah, but she wouldn't be like long term. I was like, and I'm not gonna do short term stuff. I'm just gonna look for an actual wife. So I'm like that's where I'm like now this gets a bit trickier. So
yeah, and so in terms of like that's the perspective I think that guys really have to pay attention to if they're looking for something long term. They really have to do the due diligence in terms of not just saying, "Oh yeah, she looks great and she says she loves me," because guys, from our perspective, we know a guy is capable of lying to a woman, of telling her he loves her just so he could get the sex. Guys can't seem to conceptualize any reason why a woman would lie to him. So the reason why they think a woman might lie to him is for money. If it's other than that, they think, okay, if she tells me she loves me, it's not. If it's not about money, then she got to be telling the truth. When there could be a whole host of other reasons as to why she might be lying, but they have to understand women in general, and they have to understand this woman specifically. And yeah, that's one of the things I say. Like it's absolutely crucial to read people and to not just accept face value. There's more to us, all of us, than meets the eye, and you have to be willing to do the due diligence and understand that.
And the ground rules to which you were like, I remember I got stuff from some of my friends because I'm like I'm open about what my standards are for someone, and I was like, I think it's a woman's obligation to look good for her husband, and I will find somebody that understands that obligation. You want to say the same thing to me and say, yo, keep the muscle, don't get fat. Okay, I'll do the same for you. If that's the obligation I'm willing to take, that's the obligation I'm willing to take. And I was like, and that's so it's like,
that's a good point.
I'm not handing it out saying, you shouldn't expect anything from me. I'm just like, if you expect that from me, okay, I expect this from you, and I think that's fair. I'm like, if you want to get lazy and fat, I'm gonna walk. That's fine.
Okay, so I didn't even think about that in terms of just making sure you like this is what my expectations are. These are what I'm looking for. These are what okay, and so that way down the line there's no surprises, and this is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm expecting. So nobody can at the later on down the line say, "Oh well, I never knew that it was going to be like this." Fair point. Fair point.
I think that's completely fair. She's like, I like cut dudes, fine. And I go, then I like thickness. You gotta keep that.
Right.
And right? We exchanged that, and I think that's completely fair. I guess I'm assuming I got some shit because some people thought I meant it went one way, but I cleared up right after. I was like, no, I didn't mean one way.
Yeah.
I'm just saying we're visual. We're gonna want to maintain that later, because it's like, it's like LA. There's some women who are in the 40s and 50s who still look damn good.
Yeah, definitely.
That's why I'm like, yeah, you can do it.
Oh, absolutely.
No excuse.
Absolutely.
Don't get lazy. There's no excuse. But again, it's California, and I was like, yeah, I've seen what some people in the other areas consider a 10, and I was like, damn, I could pull any girl out from Santa Monica who's below average, and she would be higher than your 10s. But that's just me giving the other state shit. I'm just playing around.
So before we wrap, you want to tell everybody about your channel and because in fact, before we do that, we still gotta figure out to do something on Matt Walsh.
Oh god, that was funny.
So probably sometime later this week we could figure out something.
That is a gold mine of a disaster of what not to do. Everyone at Daily Wire, they're very strategic. They know who to pick. They pick their hosts out carefully. They're to cater to every single type of conservative. Right? So you got Ben for your policy heavy dudes, Klavan's for the religious conservatives, Knowles is for the like Reaganite conservatives, and then Matt Walsh is for like the low IQ emotional, conservatives that react. And then what was the other one? Greg Hooper's for the simps. They're like, just take a girl with a decent face who knows makeup and just put her in her chair, say nothing. I was like, I always refer to her as the Tyrone Magnus of political content. If for the old school people on YouTube, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's like there's nothing said here. But I think what was there? There was one he did. There was two he did on libertarians where he just straw manned the crap out of us.
Yes. So like he did back to back. First he did one on Hannah Cox and Brad Palumbo, and then one on Elizabeth Nolan the next day. And it was just like, and like the whole like the Elizabeth Nolan thing, like he's mad because Hannah and Brad were making fun of him. But then with Elizabeth Nolan, like you don't get freedom. Like you don't get freedom. Like you don't understand it. Like you're literally opposed to people being able to just be free. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's why I was like, every time I listen, I see that like I know Knowles does this too. They just straw man libertarians like crazy. They just pull out this. We think you should be able to do anything you want all the time with like zero restriction to anything at all. Period. Like we're not anarchists, dude. It's very limited government, not no government, right? We're not like saying. Like they think we just are like, yeah, you can hand out drugs to anybody with no repercussions. And I was like, I think every libertarian argument for using drugs is like, if you were to take some kind of opioid and there was actually fentanyl hidden in there and you died, you would be held responsible for that death if you lied about what was in it. Right. I was like, that's the position. Not that it's just like, you can deal drugs now. I'm like, that's just a straw man. Yeah, we're getting a bad rap from conservatives right now, and it's really annoying.
They are. Yeah, seriously. Going back on the woman's topic, I still think Jada's worse than Will than the chick is to Johnny Depp. No, I see. I didn't even realize that's what you were saying. I do not think Jada is worse than Amber Heard. Okay, what do you think? Do you think Jada is worse than Amber?
I'm not. That one's tough. I'm not sure. I don't think we know enough
Enough
about
about
Jada,
okay,
right?
yeah, we haven't seen the divorce, the defamation trial, Jada and Will yet. I just I don't see Jada doing all of this stuff. Like she took a dump on his bed. she, she she took a dump on his bed. Like this woman's a maniac.
But we need to know how bad of a manipulator Jada is, because that could be worse. We don't know what kind of
Right.
we don't know what she's doing behind closed doors yet. So
The jury's out.
that one's tough for me. I don't know yet. I'd say I'll wait for more information.
All right. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it is. You're right. There. There's. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, would you rather have your wife take a dump or sleep with your son's friend? But the question is, how many people was Amber sleeping with?
And it's also why she did that too.
Yeah.
I think they're both bad.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, why are they doing that though?
Yeah, because there's a lot of people are talking about what we're not finding out about Will is who he was sleeping with. And they're saying that there was allegedly a list of people, including people he's played opposite, that he was sleeping with, allegedly.
It's one of those things where like you just find out more over time. You might take one stance, but you're not too sure you want to jump on it because then something's going to change. That's why like so many stories, I'm like, I'm going to give it a week sometimes, because then I see like everything change the next, like 2 days later, everything's different. Yeah. Instead of like trying to jump on it like the second it happens.
Oh yeah, before we end, do you have any thoughts on the whole Anton Daniel situation? You heard about that, right?
Which one was that? What happened to him?
Okay, his channel got taken down.
Oh yeah, I saw, because I wanted to watch I wanted to watch that, and then I went to it and I saw it was like the
oh yeah, when I saw you had said that, I go and I thought I put the link in wrong, and so then I'm like I'm looking for it. I'm like, why is it not showing up? And so I said, let me just go to history, because I know I'd watched the video earlier. So I go to my history and it won't even show up. And I'm like,
did it say what violation?
He actually did a live stream this morning on the Millionaire Morning Show channel. And so he said that somebody put some stuff up. And it's the same thing that happened to the other one last year. And I'm like, this is like that pisses me off that people are doing some sucker nonsense like that, like just actively trying to sabotage somebody's channel.
Yeah, that's crazy. Just because he embarrassed some dude.
Like,
so I'm like, some people like you make them look bad on the internet, and it's just like for some reason that's an indicator you have nothing going on in your life.
Right.
Someone making you look bad on the internet causes you to try and like take down someone else's channel. I'm like, that's crazy. I was watching your coverage because I wanted to see it, and you were like, dude was throwing out the hard R left and right, and I was just like, because when you first said it, I thought you were like the A. I was like, and then you were like the hard R. I was like, what, dude? I was like, how do you get away with that?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Because YouTube usually will be like, in that context, yeet. Whoa.
I was able to catch the interview with you, OG, and Chaotic. OG was completely right. And I don't believe people. Yeah. Because like OG came up first and just started laying into him. Like OG came, like me and OG both came on just for Chaotic. We came on just for Chaotic. And like OG was holding, like OG's was just going off with him. So then he started going back at OG. And then I got in there. Yeah, he wants to tap dance for white conservatives for money, but also wants to hang out with it seems
like he's trying to like just do the typical thing that's popular with conservatives right now, which is just
Yes.
bash us.
Yes.
Make us all look like, we're just hood rats and ghetto hooligans. I was like,
Yeah.
I did like a whole video on this. It was one like I did that was like, it was Tim Pool and Andrew Klavan, and we were talking about black culture. And I was like, I always find it funny on all these big channels where they're going to talk about black culture as two white dudes talking about it.
Right,
it's kind of funny, but I was like, Klavan just said the most like vile stuff about us I ever seen. I wrote down, I remember in the comment, the second video, I used every descriptor he used to describe black culture. And it was just like, I'm trying to remember all of them off the top of my head. It was like 3 baby mamas, no dads.
Wow.
If the dads are there, they're abusive, mom on drugs, and sexual assault. And I'm just like, if you bragged about sexually assaulting somebody, like, and even then he was trying to like refer to the gangs a little bit. I was like, they're not gonna give you a high five, dude. They're gonna put you in a wheelchair. And I was like, that's like the popular conservative narrative right now, like in these areas. That's just like, let's just bash on black people. I think I said the other day, Dave Rubin posted this interview with Candace Owens, and it was like, why are black people stuck on the Democratic plantation? First thing she says, you don't like it here? I'll pay for you to go back to Africa. And I'm just like,
that's crazy.
You can't make up how stupid this woman is. Like, good opportunist. That's how she got where she is, but
yeah.
Dumb, just insanely dumb. It just amazes me. So that's what I was assuming he was trying to do is.
Oh yeah, I absolutely believe. I absolutely agree with you. Absolutely, because it really looks like he's just trying to grift. He's trying to get into that lane.
But I'm like, but that's too heavy-handed. You can't go that heavy-handed.
Right.
It's sort of like call us the hard R without calling us the hard R. It's sort of like right there.
Yeah.
It's like you got to ride the line, but it's like you can't cross the line. This is why I saw like Tatum promoting the concept of race realism. He just didn't promote it in the way you typically, that if you fed it the way like an actual white nationalist would feed it to you, that would get rejected. But Tatum feeds it to him much softer. I think it was his It's All White video when he was like saying, maybe I was like, could you have made all this stuff without the white man? And I was like, that sounds like race realism, Tatum. I was like, that sounds very, very close.
Right.
Guy in that line, he's like, do you think you could have cars or airplanes or any of this without white people? And I'm like,
wow.
I was like, bro, you break that down, it's race realism. It's the same thing. It's like, by virtue of being white, they could figure that out. Like, black people couldn't figure that out on our own, apparently. So I was like, it was the same concept, just fed to them softer. And they were like, this is perfectly fine. I see everyone cheering on Tatum. And none of them even watched that show, too. None of them even watched it. I saw it. I was like, it was okay, I guess. There was some nonsense in there, and there was some stuff that I'm like, that's accurate. It's like a 5 out of 10. It wasn't that offensive.
Right. Taylor went in on Native Americans. The fool actually said if white people weren't here, Native Americans would still be playing with sticks. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, same idea. It's like they think they invented everything. It's sort of like, I don't think you guys know the history of like ancient Africa and how much more advanced they were than the rest of the world, like by far. You guys just didn't make everything. You didn't build off of nothing and then just like magically rose to the top. It's sort of like be thankful we released you from slavery, and you're like,
yeah,
we're supposed to do that ourselves. How are we going to do it?
Right. Yeah, that's Jesse Lee Peterson's spiel.
Sometimes I'll actually watch him because I enjoy him the same way I enjoy Uncle Ruckus. It gets to the point where it becomes so vile, it starts to become hilarious. I'm like, I can't take him seriously. I was like, this seems like he's playing a character. I was like, no way he's real. No way this is who he is. Well, maybe it is. I don't know. But that just sounds funny.
Yeah, this is Tack Lad, Kenny. Let me see. Wait a minute. Is there a way to? It's but we definitely got to do something with the Matt Walsh. I was definitely I got to break that down because Yeah, he just decided for some reason to just go on a string of anti-libertarian stuff. So it's like, yeah, he's asking for this one.
He's also saying like, yay, we should use the leftist tactics and stuff and be more authoritarian because that's how you win. And I'm like, well, wait, that accepts. My problem with a lot of the right is they always accept the left's premises and go like, we'll go with that. Yeah. You don't think there's other ways you can win? That's why they're cheering on DeSantis. And I was like, look,
it's ridiculous what he's doing.
I'm okay if all the companies have it or none of the companies have it, but it's why he's doing it, why I have a problem with it. But a lot of people that went over their head. They were just like, yay, we're using the state to go after our political opponents. And I thought you guys were not about that. But as soon as it's on their side, they're totally fine with it. This is like when Trump was being authoritarian, they were cheering him on.
Yeah. It's like
Bump stock ban, they didn't say anything. Hate speech laws about the Holocaust, didn't say anything.
Massive spending, not a piece.
Didn't care. What do you like? Double our spending? He went crazy.
Yeah.
And I was like, ugh.
That dude thinks everything is a part of Satan's plan to destroy Christianity. So, do you have any final thoughts you want to share with anybody? Everybody?
I mean, as a whole for the topic, I think I hit everything. That it was just like to hit the bullet points. I was like, if men want to understand women, I was like, it's mostly going to come from practice. But I'm like,
okay,
learn game, and don't go to these like the manosphere types. Some of the stuff they have is correct, but a lot of it is like, who hurt you? I see a lot of them, and I'm like, who hurt you? I'm like, I would just read old Stu stuff. Like I said, I learned from like reading Mystery in like my mid-20s. I started reading him. Yeah, and the other thing is to help, because you got to be sharp. It's one of those things you got to practice. Sharpen your mind. Get sugar out of your diet. That will help sharpen your mind. Learn a martial art, exercise, do all that. It's sort of that thing where you sharpen your body and your mind.
Okay.
And then it's, and then through practice, you'll learn to talk to people. And like I said, if you can't get, a great physique, or you're not that funny, there's other ways. You have so many methods there's so many methods you can use to attract people. Yeah. Don't
don't follow. That's rule number one. Don't.
And if they're playing to their audience, I have the question: why does their core audience hate black women so much?
That is a good question.
Stereotypes? I don't know. I've seen a lot of those stereotypes in the like kind of manosphere POA areas where it's like, and I was like, I can tell you're not getting anything, because if you're angry, like one dude, I was like, if you're angry that my girlfriend at the time like was Asian, if that pissed you off, you got something else going on. Like,
right,
you're clearly not doing too well if that's right. Or like I said, if you just have some sort of like outwardly like vitriolic hatred of black women, like clearly you have something else going on. Like, I don't get it, because it's like dudes that are like doing fine, they don't say things like that. They're just like, and if they don't like black women, they'll usually just not say anything. They don't like go around talking about like brag about it. It's just be like, it's just a preference. And you're like, but the fact that they have to go out of their way to like just be vitriolic towards black women, I'm like, nah, they got something else going on. Yeah, I have no clue how they got their audience so big.
So I think there's a couple of things they did. So the studio looks good. They stream religiously. And then they capitalized on collaborations, because they were collaborating with Kevin Samuels. They were collaborating with. They were just going around anybody. They were just, and that's it's a growth strategy in terms of getting their face out in front of as many faces, getting their brand in front of as many viewers out there as possible. And it worked it really worked in their favor. They're constantly bringing on new people to bring their audience to them. And so, yeah, it definitely is that's definitely part of the growth strategy.
Yeah, there's the mass advertising, just show your face as much as you can. tends to work. But it's also they have a big audience right now for a reason. There is an audience that needs something,
right?
And they're there to say, "Hey, here's how
to fill that." Okay,
Mhm.
yeah.
And there's enough people for it. It's out. That's why I said I've seen some of these people, and I'm like, it seems like they're getting led astray by opportunists. Because I mean, like, if you're living that life, I don't know why you're on sugar daddy sites. Or you're telling them they got to get with you to get on their show. I was like, that doesn't sound like you're living that life, dude.
Exactly. I really want to thank you for coming on, Tack Lad. Seriously, thanks for hanging out and coming on the stream. Thank you, everyone in the chat, for rocking with us today. Let me just read this last one. Speaking of which, I subscribed to Mr. Real Estate because of you, Echo, and he's talking down on Anton, and I'm a listen. I did. I'm not advocating tuning into Mr. Real Estate. I'm not advocating subscribing to him. But I did find out that he was doing a panel against what's his name? Chaotic Truth. So apparently now he's just going after people for hire. He's literally going after people for hire. But yeah, thanks again for everyone for coming on. Thanks, Tack Lad. No problem, Kenny. No problem. Ed, yeah. So I'll see you.
I was in the comments. You can check my channel. It's literally the same as the. It's the same as the name. Although I mostly do stream of conscious politic type stuff.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I don't play to either side, so no one's gonna like me too much. But that's how it is.
I know the
side, or you're not gonna get huge.
Right.
Lucas learned that the hard way.
Definitely. All right, everyone. Have a great night.